And I yield back.
Well, this chart clearly shows what happens when you make an investment. Cancer, HIV, cardiovascular. I remember 20 years ago, nobody thought you could solve HIV. It was there, and it was going to devastate the entire planet. But research paid off. Yes. And while this disease is not under control and is still all too prevalent, there is an ability to stem the impact of it and to be able to live with that disease. We can make progress here. I'm just thinking again about your piece of legislation, about the kind of help that people need, and really education beyond just what you've talked about in your bill. You know, every family goes through this in either their own family or a neighboring family in the early onset, early in the progress of the disease. The change in the way in which a person functions and works and interacts with the family is profoundly disturbing to the family. Even more so if the family doesn't understand and doesn't know what is happening. And so the ability to diagnose Alzheimer's early becomes very, very important to the well-being of the family, as you said. If that family understands what's happening, they're better able to cope with a very, very difficult situation. If they have no idea, and mama or dad just suddenly seems to be off in some strange and unimaginable direction, the family can be torn apart. Yes. And I know we've seen this many, many places across the people that I have known over the years. But your bill ought to be law. And we ought to be funding those kinds of nonprofit and social organizations that can address and help an individual understand what is going on in the Alzheimer's situation. Another one, your second bill dealing with the patient alert program. I remember very well a situation that occurred years ago where a neighbor simply wandered off, and it created a community crisis. Where did he go? Where is he? After a couple of days, it turned out to not be a devastating situation. But your bill would provide assistance in tracking and keeping track of and finding those men and women that will and have wandered off. And this is very much a part of this illness. And so thank you for introducing these pieces of legislation. And my plea to my colleagues here is, let's focus on this. There are many, many things we focus on here. All too often it's just political one-upsmanship. This is not a Democratic issue. It's not a Republican issue. This is an American issue affecting nearly every American family. I like your legislation. I would hope the President would have this on his desk tomorrow morning, would sign this, and get the help that people need. There are several other pieces of legislation